What's going on, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about the two new Paragon trees that are going to come out in about a week and a half for some of our players and go over all the skills and all that good stuff to determine whether or not you want to reset for these trees or not at all. Let's get into it. So as you all can see, the server Paragon level is 122. So in about a week and a half, we're going to get that server Paragon level closer to that 150 mark. I'm usually about 11 levels above. And so that will unlock for me quite soon, actually. And so I wanted to just give my overall thoughts on the new trees. Now we're going to head over to Wowhead's site to check out their data mine for these new trees. That way we can see the actual skills associated with these and give my initial thoughts on both of these new trees. All right, so we're on the Wowhead site, and there's the Paragon skill calculator, and I'll go ahead and leave this in the description down below if you want to check it out yourself. We have all the trees that you are used to: Vanquisher, Survivor, Treasure Hunter, Gladiator, and then Soldier and Mastermind are the two new ones. And I want to give you my thoughts on both of these trees and whether or not and what areas they are, if they are good. If they are not good, I'll tell you that as well. But let's go right into Soldier here and talk about the skills first. So first off, we have Hold Formation. Each party member within 15 yards reduces the damage you take by 2.5%. Okay, so this one already is looking like a sort of party inclusion tree. So you're going to want to run with party members. So already I could see if you're a solo player, don't even bother with this tree. Reducing damage is nice for specifically PvP. Usually PvE content, this isn't going to matter a whole lot. Then we have First Aid. Whenever you drop below 15% life while party members are within 5 yards, you will gain First Aid, recovering 15% of your maximum life per second for 3 seconds. 45% of your life is actually a big amount. 300-second cooldown is kind of long, but this could be very useful in PvP. Only problem is that you have to make sure that you are in a party, which isn't a super difficult thing to do. Then we have Combat Veteran. Battle morale can now stack up to 8 times, and the cooldown of First Aid is reduced to 180 seconds. So this is not one that we've gone over, so we'll have to check out Battle morale here. Each enemy player killed within 15 yards by one of your party members increases your damage by 3% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. Okay, so to me, this seems okay. I mean, 3% damage isn't a whole lot, and you have to kill someone, so not a huge deal here. I'm not liking this so far. Then we have Sacrifice. Your death grants 15% additional damage reduction to all party members within 15 yards for 6 seconds. Cannot occur more than once every 60 seconds. Okay, so this is requiring us to die for our party members to get advantages. Okay, so this is very strange. First off, I want to talk about, this is a pure party tree. So if you're a solo player, as I kind of speculated after the first skill, this is a completely useless tree. But just talking about the skills before we dive into the attributes here. First Aid, 5 yards is very small radius. So you basically have to have a melee class doing exactly the same thing that you're doing in order for you to get advantage from this. Combat Veteran, 8 times. I mean, this isn't a huge deal. Maybe if you're talking about like Coordinated Rite of Exile Battlegrounds, which is like a very small portion of the game. Not a huge deal here either. And then the fact that you have to die to give your party members damage reduction is kind of lame. This is the only thing that I think could be useful in challenge rifts. These two right here, Sacrifice and First Aid. Obviously Battle Morale doesn't even work. And then the damage reduction. This is, to me, is like a challenge rift tree. If you're trying to go ahead and boost your party members up, maybe this could be good there. The attributes here, we have life, damage, resistance, potency, armor, and armor pen. I quite like life and damage. Also, armor pen is quite nice as well. But overall, I'm hugely disappointed with the party skills. I think that they're pretty poor, and I honestly don't see a whole big use for this. I just don't see a use case for this realistically. Again, as I mentioned, maybe challenge rifts. Then we have Mastermind here, and we're going to go over the skills first. We have the first one: all party members within 5 yards of you gain 3% increased skill damage, while your party member has 4 different classes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is really awkward because both of these are going to be party-based skill trees. So the solo players basically don't get any new skill trees, at least. So keep that in mind. 5 yards, again, very small radius. 3% skill damage, again, not a huge bonus, and it has to have 4 different classes. How hard is it to get a party together And how often are you going to have those classes all be different classes? Very unlikely. So I'm already seeing this coordinated assault being very, very situational, and you can't even accumulate them. So like, if you run this, you have to make sure that your party members aren't running it, because it's going to be useless if it is. So, all right, let's go to the second skill. All party members give. Okay, so this is the same effect. It's just that you get 3% damage reduction while you have these party members. Okay, pretty poor in my eyes. If you're talking about like damage reduction, you're really looking for PvP or challenge rift uses, and the chances are, if you're running PvP, you're going to want the people with highest resonance. The chances that those are 4 different classes in your party, very, very unlikely once again. Then we have covert operations, increases your critical hit chance by 2.5% for each different class present in your party. This one actually can be very solid. The crit chance in this game is very low in general. And so getting a small boost, 7.5%, oftentimes, or maybe 10% if you happen to get all those 4 different classes, can be okay. But again, the fact that we're relying on different classes in your party is very, very tricky, especially if you're running one of those classes that is like Demon Hunter or Crusader or Necro. Those classes are the most popular ones. If you're running maybe like a Barb or a Monk, you might get more value out of this. So not super excited about that. And then we have Find Weakness. While your party member, okay, there's 4 different classes once again. Your attacks have a 5% chance to make bosses vulnerable for 3 seconds. Damage taken by vulnerable targets is increased by 20%. Okay, so to me, this is literally like a non-factor for the most part. The one place where I could see this being really, really good, though, is Challenge Rifts, and that's really the only exception. If you're in a Challenge Rift and you're running 4 different classes, yeah, you could get some use out of this. I guess if you also want to count Lassel or Heliquary raids in general, but those are often trivialized after a certain combat rating, and so really the only consistent value will be pushing Challenge Rifts. And to me, 20% damage is a big, big increase. So the only problem really is that you have to 4 different classes. Like, there's so many times where I don't have 4 different classes available to me, and I'm in a very, very active clan, and I just kind of pick up whoever's available. So definitely unlikely to see 4 different classes in most content. I guess if you're specifically trying to push challenge reps, you could do that. But overall, meh. Then we have superior coordination, and this just increases these 2 to 10 yards instead of 5. So that's nice. At least you'll actually get bonus from this, because 5 yards is going to be basically melee classes, excluding range classes if you are a melee class. So at least that's the thing, but I just don't see the realistic application for this, to be honest. It's a fun concept, having to have like interesting build compositions because you need 4 different classes and you want to get these bonuses, but it's like, realistically, what are we talking about? Okay, let's talk about open world farming. Well, open world farming, do we need the damage reduction? Do we need these bonuses? Are we fighting bosses? No. Okay, so open world farming is out. Let's talk about dungeons. Okay, well, dungeons. Well, most of the time you're not going to find 4 different classes because it's hard to find a group anyways. Therefore, you're not going to get use out of this tree. Okay, and then let's talk about challenge rifts. Okay, well, you usually are putting together a team for challenge rifts, so this is one place where you could use this. So that could be useful in that situation. What about PvP? Well, this is a boss's skill, so this is really strictly for PvE content. I guess you could get value out of the covert operations and these 2 other skills, but I just don't see a realistic application for this tree when we're talking about specking into this. Because like, if we compare this is like a PvE tree, right, for bosses. Let's compare that to Vanquisher. Okay, so 5% more damage, 5% extra attack speed. Then we have 15 times stacking, so these could be 7.5% each. Guaranteed critical strikes and bonus damage dealt. So I think I would just rather run the bonus damage dealt and the extra inventory rows, because that will speed up and overall get you better times in dungeons and in open world farming than Mastermind will. Then when we're talking about Soldier, I'd rather just have people run Gladiator when we're talking about PvP viability. And if we're talking about PvE survivability, I mean, Survivor does a great job of that as well, just by reducing your damage, giving you movement speed, and allowing you to dodge enemies, and giving you a completely immune skill here with Indestructible. I just don't think that these 2 are better than the Survivor Vanquisher tree for their respective purposes, and these are party based, whereas these 2 are solo based, and these 2, or at least Soldier rather, won't stack, as far as or Mastermind rather, won't stack from other people's Mastermind. So I just very disappointed with this in terms of new Paragon trees. But let's check out the attributes real quick before I kind of give my overall thoughts. Potency, armor pen, armor, life, damage, and resistance. This is resistance. This isn't willpower. As you can see here, the willpower is just not a thing when we get into Paragon trees. So damage and life is nice. You have an easy fast track to armor, pen, and damage with this Mastermind tree, which is nice. So really what I'm seeing here is that you're going to use the skills from Treasure Hunter if you're open world farming. You're going to use the skills from Gladiator if you're PvPing. And if you really happen to get all your skills out, you're going to want to start to spec into, okay, I'm going to run Vanquisher here to start running for PvE content if I'm doing damage. And that's where I would see the specs. And then what you'll want to do is probably go for the damage areas for Soldier and Mastermind here, going straight into damage and armor pen, and then going once again straight into damage, and then life, of course, is a nice solid stat as well. So really, I would just spec into these for the attributes themselves, not for the actual skills. If anyone else has a different idea about what these skills could be, or Paragon trees could be useful for, I'm curious to see what you all think. Me personally, I really don't see a use case for this, especially considering that we're going to need a party of 4 different classes for Mastermind, which is already hard to do for dungeons, getting a party together. And then if we're talking about Soldier, it's just like damage reduction and survivability, which usually isn't necessary for PvE content. And then for PvP content, I'd rather have Gladiator for cheat death. So again, just not hugely impressed, but I'm open to other ideas in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about these new Paragon trees, and I will see you for the next video.